How's it going, guys? Jimmy here. In this tutorial I want to teach you basic offense and defense in the wake up situation. This should be very helpful to beginners or casual players that are interested in stepping up their gameplay, but even if you're already fairly confident in your abilities in Street Fighter 5, you might still learn something. While watching this tutorial, please keep in mind there's no such thing as perfect offense or defense. You're essentially playing a complex version of rock, paper, scissors. The player standing is at an advantage because unlike the player on the ground, he has access to meaty attacks. Meaty attacks are any kind of attack, including throws, that is already active when the player on the ground gets up. If you're interested in what that technically means, you might want to watch my tutorial on frame data. For this tutorial, however, all you need to know is that the player on the ground is in a defending position. So let's take a look at some options that you'll see from the aggressor. The two most common options that you'll see are meaty normals and throws. This is especially common on a casual level because of the simplicity of these attacks. Both of these options can be covered by a technique called late crouch tech, so if you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend you check out my tutorial on it, as this technique by itself will drastically improve your gameplay. This will essentially make your defense unbeatable in the wake up situation against casual players. What's interesting is that late crouch tech can also be used offensively. It's a common option that is used whenever you expect your opponent to wake up with an invincible move. So if you think your opponent is going to YOLO it out, don't just sit there and block, always make sure to use some kind of offense that is safe against invincible reversals. So far we've covered normal attacks, throws, and late crouch tech as potential offensive options to go for. Unfortunately, all of these options can be covered with late crouch tech by the player on the ground. So let's take a look at an option that beats defensive late crouch tech. One of the first options that should come to mind is the shimmy. The shimmy is a technique that baits the opponent into a bad late crouch tech followed up by a punish on the whiffed grab. There are lots of different ways to shimmy your opponent, and that topic really deserves a dedicated tutorial, but for now, let's take a look at a basic shimmy. The idea is to walk into the throw range of your opponent to make them defend an incoming throw with a late crouch tech. At the very last moment, instead of throwing, you start walking back to make their tech attempt whiff, and finally you punish that whiff throw tech. This technique is most commonly used in a close range neutral situation, but it can be applied on wake up as well. The reason why this technique works is because humans cannot tech throws on reaction. I can't stress this point enough because it's so important to understand that. If it was humanly possible to react to a throw attempt in time to get the tech, then Street Fighter 5 would become a game all about getting the first hit. Whoever got the first hit in would automatically win because the rest of the round could be spent blocking attacks and teching throws on reaction. This is why it's so important for fighting game developers to make sure there's always a way to open up someone's defense. This leads us to a very important observation for Street Fighter 5. You cannot cover meaty normals, meaty throw, and shimmy at the same time when you're defending on wake up. You can cover every combination of 2 out of 3 of these options though. We've already established that meaty normals and throws lose to late crouch tech, but shimmy beats that. So let's say you want to cover throws and shimmy at the same time. How would you do that? Well, it's pretty simple. You just backdash on wake up. As you can see, backdash on wake up beats meaty throws and shimmy attempts, but loses to meaty normals. The last combination that you could cover would be meaty normals plus shimmy, and for that you just need to crouch block on wake up. This is a very common option on high level because it's impossible to mess up, and it covers the most damaging options your opponent can use. Crouch blocking obviously loses to meaty throws though. So here are all the options from the perspective of a defending player on wake up again. Late crouch tech beats meaty normals and meaty throws, but loses to shimmy. Crouch blocking beats meaty normals and shimmy, but loses to meaty throws, and backdash beats meaty throws and shimmy, but loses to meaty normals. Keep in mind that this does not reflect all options in the wake up situation, but it should give you a general idea of what to look out for on offense and defense. Once you're aware of these options, the mind games on wake up start. You always want to make sure to mix up your offense according to how your opponent is defending, and vice versa. I want to cover more advanced options in the wake up situation in a future tutorial, but I think this should already be a great foundation to work with in order to get your gameplay to the next level. So that's it for today's tutorial. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for future content. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.